The wind howled through the broken metal halls of the old alien ruin. The place smelled of rust and smoke, like a battlefield that had been left to rot. Thomas, the human, stepped carefully over cracked tiles, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. Every sound echoed his boots, his breath, even the soft hum of the old walls still alive with faint energy. He thought he was alone. But then he heard it, a whisper. So faint he almost believed it was only the wind. Not pure. Thomas froze. His hand went straight to his weapon. His heart thudded inside his chest, heavy and loud. He scanned the shadows, waiting, watching. Nothing moved. The silence pressed down like a heavy weight. Then, from behind a collapsed wall, something shifted. A shadow, thin and unsteady. He aimed his light. That was when he saw her. She was alien, yet more human than anything else he had ever seen in the galaxy. Her skin was pale, faintly glowing under the dust, as if some hidden light lived beneath it. Her eyes, large and filled with fear, locked onto his. Her body trembled as she tried to stand. A piece of cloth, torn and stained, clung desperately to her frame. She whispered again, her voice shaking, "I'm not pure." The words cut the silence. They didn't sound like a warning. They sounded like shame. Like a confession. Thomas didn't move. His instincts screamed at him, danger. But his eyes couldn't look away. There was something about her voice. It wasn't only fear, it was a plea. A desperate one. The alien girl stumbled forward. Her knees hit the ground, her hands pressing against the floor to keep herself upright. The cloth slipped slightly down her shoulder, and Thomas caught the strange light pulsing beneath her skin. It wasn't natural, it wasn't human. But it was beautiful. Like fire caught in glass. He raised his weapon higher. "Stay back," he ordered, his voice low but steady. Her lips trembled. Her head shook slowly, side to side. "No, please. Don't leave me. Don't hate me." Her words made no sense to him. Why would she think he hated her? Why whisper such strange things? He studied her closely, every muscle in his body, ready to fire. But then he saw her eyes glisten. She was crying. Her tears hit the dusty floor and glowed faintly, like liquid stars. Thomas felt a chill crawl up his spine. She was no ordinary alien, not pure. He finally asked, his voice quiet, almost unwilling. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, her hands clutched at the cloth wrapped around her. She gripped it so tightly that her knuckles turned pale, as if she feared it would betray her at any moment. Then, in a voice so fragile it barely reached him, she whispered again, "They marked me. They made me something I'm not. If you see, you won't breathe." Thomas' mouth went dry. He took a careful step forward, the dim light casting sharp shadows between them. She flinched as if expecting him to strike her, but he didn't. He only watched, curiosity and suspicion battling inside his mind. "What are you hiding?" he asked. His tone was firm, but beneath it there was a pull. A strange need to understand her. The alien girl's breath came fast. Her hands shook harder. The cloth slipped further, exposing a line across her collarbone. It wasn't a wound, but a scar glowing, alive, moving faintly under her skin like fire veins. The sight made Thomas stumble back half a step. His heart skipped. For a moment, he forgot how to breathe. Her eyes searched his face, waiting for the disgust, the fear, the hatred she had seen in every other pair of eyes before his. But Thomas didn't speak. He only stared. The silence between them felt heavy, almost crushing. "I told you," she whispered. Her voice broke like glass. "I'm not pure. No one can look at me without turning away." The ruins groaned. Around them, the walls trembling with some distant quake. Dust rained down from above, but neither of them moved. Thomas couldn't. The sight of her, half hidden, half revealed, held him like chains. He wanted to turn away, but he couldn't. There was something in those glowing scars that pulled at him. Something he didn't understand. Her hands slipped again. The cloth loosened. His pulse raced. His chest tightened. He realized then that her words were not a warning. They were a challenge, a test. Would he be like the others? Would he turn away in disgust? Or would he face the truth of what she was? Her lips parted once more. If you want to see, then see, but know this. Human, once the cloth falls, you will never breathe the same again. The silence stretched. Thomas' heart hammered so loud it filled his ears. His weapon felt heavy in his hand, but he didn't raise it again. He could only watch, and then slowly, her grip weakened. The cloth began to slide from her shoulders, inch by inch, ready to fall. The cloth slipped from her trembling hands. For one long second, time seemed to stop. Dust hung in the air. The ruins groaned like the world itself was holding its breath. Thomas stood frozen, every nerve in his body screaming, but his eyes refused to close. He couldn't look away. The cloth fell to the ground, and then he saw them, glowing marks burned deep into her alien skin, stretched across her chest and down her arms. They weren't scars from blades or fire. They were alive, moving faintly under her flesh like rivers of molten light. The patterns twisted and shifted, forming shapes that looked almost like writing, but too old, too alien for him to understand. The sight hit Thomas like a punch in the chest. His lungs locked, his heart skipped. For a moment, he truly could not breathe. The alien girl lowered her eyes, shame filling her face. She pulled her arms tight across her body, as if she could still hide what was already revealed. Her voice shook. Do you see now? I told you. I'm not pure. Thomas swallowed hard, forcing air back into his chest. The glow of the marks reflected in his eyes, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. He felt heat radiating from her, like standing near a burning forge, but the air was cold. Are those? He finally asked, his voice hoarse. Her lips trembled. She looked up at him, and tears gathered in her glowing eyes. A curse, a brand. They forced it on me. Every step I take, every breath I draw, people see this and call me impure. Thomas frowned. His grip on his weapon tightened, though. He didn't raise it. A brand? For what? She shook her head slowly. Not for what I did, but for what I might be. Her words carried a weight he didn't understand, but he felt it deep in his chest. The glow pulsed stronger, the lines along her body burning brighter with every heartbeat. For an instant, the room filled with golden light, shadows dancing wildly along the cracked walls. Thomas stumbled back, shielding his eyes. Stay away. She cried suddenly, her voice sharp and filled with fear. The light. It kills anyone who touches me. That's why no one stays. That's why they whisper when I pass. That's why I'm not pure. Her voice broke at the last words. She pressed her hands against her chest as if she could hold the marks down, as if she could force them to stop glowing. But the harder she pressed, the brighter they flared. Thomas hesitated. His instincts screamed for him to back away, to turn and run, to escape this cursed creature before it was too late. But his feet wouldn't move. Instead, he found himself stepping closer. She gasped, shaking her head violently. No, don't please. I don't want to watch you die. Her words were desperate, filled with genuine fear. Thomas felt it hit him deeper than the glow of her scars. Her fear wasn't for herself. It was for him, and that was the moment he realized something. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't some cursed being to be feared. She was afraid, broken, and alone. She believed she was unworthy, impure, cast aside like a weapon no one wanted to touch. But standing in front of her now, Thomas didn't feel hate. He didn't feel disgust. He felt something else, a dangerous curiosity. He lowered his weapon slowly, his eyes locked on her. If this curse kills, then why am I still alive? Her breath caught. For a moment she looked stunned, as if she had never considered it herself. The glow dimmed slightly, the mark softening as though responding to his voice. I don't. No, she whispered. Her voice was fragile, almost breaking. No one else ever survived this close. The silence between them grew heavy again. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. Somewhere deep in the ruins, the sound of shifting metal echoed. But neither of them moved. Thomas took another step forward, slow and steady. His eyes stayed locked on hers. Maybe it's not a curse, he said firmly. Maybe it's something else. She shook her head, but her tears betrayed her doubt. You don't understand, the ones who gave me these marks. They're coming. They won't stop until I'm dead. And if you stay near me, they'll kill you too. Thomas' jaw tightened. He could feel her terror, but he could also see the fire hidden beneath her shame. This wasn't just some curse. There was more to it. Something powerful. Something dangerous. Before he could answer, the ruins shuddered violently. A deep tremor ran through the floor, and dust rained down like ash. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the hall's metal boots against stone, drawing closer. Her eyes widened with panic. It's them, she whispered, her glowing marks flaring with fear. They found me. Thomas raised his weapon again, his body tense. His heart pounded, but not from fear, from choice. He could walk away right. Now leave her. Save himself. But when he looked at her broken, terrified, but still standing, he knew he couldn't. The footsteps drew nearer. Shadows stretched along the walls. She looked at him, desperate. Run if you want to live. Thomas clenched, his jaw steadying his aim toward the sound. His voice was calm, unshaken. No, I'm staying. The ruins shook as the footsteps grew louder. Shadows stretched across the cracked walls, long and sharp, like claws reaching for prey. Thomas stood in front of her, weapon raised, his breathing steady but heavy. The alien girl clutched at her. Glowing scars, her whole body trembling as though the marks burned her from the inside. Why don't you leave? She whispered, her voice breaking. You'll die if you stay. Everyone who stands near me dies. Thomas's eyes stayed fixed on the dark corridor ahead, but his voice was calm, low. Not me, I'm still here. The words struck her like a blade, confusing, impossible. She shook her head, stepping back. The glow along her body pulsed harder, like fire veins racing beneath her skin. And then the soldiers appeared. 3 of them, towering alien enforcers clad in black armor, their faces hidden behind jagged masks. Each carried a long staff glowing with the same eerie light as her scars. Their boots slammed against the floor in perfect rhythm, echoing like war drums. The girl stumbled back further, fear flooding her face. One soldier's voice rasped through his mask, cold and sharp. There she is, the impure one. His words dripped with disgust. The others tightened their grip on their weapons, stepping closer like hunters cornering an animal. Thomas glanced at the girl. Impure? That's what they call you? She lowered her head, shame in every movement. It's not a name. It's a curse. They branded me when I was young. Said I carry something dangerous. Said anyone close to me will be destroyed. The glow from her scars pulsed again, brighter now, reacting to the soldier's presence. She cried out softly, dropping to her knees. As if the energy inside her was too much to contain, one of the soldiers pointed his weapon at Thomas. Human, step away. She's not yours to protect. Leave and you may live. The words were clear. A chance to survive. Thomas' grip on his gun tightened. His jaw clenched. He looked at the girl again, broken, ashamed, yet still fighting to breathe. Then he turned back to the soldiers. No, he said flatly. The soldiers froze for a moment, as if they couldn't believe his defiance. Then the leader laughed, a cruel, metallic sound. Fool, Stand beside her, and her curse will eat you alive. You will beg for death before the end." Thomas didn't flinch. "Then I'll die standing." The girl's eyes widened. Her breath hitched. No one had ever spoken those words for her. No one had ever stayed. For the first time, her tears weren't just from fear. They were from something else. The soldiers raised their staffs, energy crackling at the tips. The ruins lit with a sickly glow. Thomas steadied his weapon, but before he could fire, the girl screamed. Her scars exploded with light. The golden fire ripped through the air, slamming into the walls. The soldiers staggered back, shields raised, but the energy pressed against them like a living storm. Thomas shielded his face, the heat burning his skin, and yet he didn't fall. He didn't die. He lowered his arms slowly, staring through the blaze. The girl was kneeling on the ground, her body trembling as the energy poured out of her. The marks across her skin burned brighter than ever, as if alive, as if they had minds of their own. The soldiers shouted, straining against the light. "She cannot control it," one roared. "She is death itself." Another spat, but Thomas saw something different out her eyes. Through all the pain, through all the chaos, her eyes were locked on his. They begged him not to leave, begged him to see past the fire, past the curse, and he did. Slowly he stepped through the storm. His body ached, the heat biting into his skin, but he pressed forward. Every instinct screamed that he was walking into death. Yet each step proved the soldiers wrong. He wasn't dying. He wasn't burning. He was alive. The glow reacted to him, shifting, softening, curling around him instead of striking him. Like the fire recognized him. Like it chose him. That the girl gasped. You're not afraid." Thomas reached her, kneeling beside her. He put a steady hand on her shoulder. The glow flickered, but didn't hurt him. For the first time someone touched her without fear. "No curse," he said firmly. "Not to me." The soldiers roared in anger, their weapons raised high. The leader pointed his staff directly at Thomas. "Impossible. No human can stand beside her. Kill him." Energy crackled, the chamber trembling as power surged. But Thomas stood his ground, hand still on her shoulder. Her glow pulsed brighter, almost blinding, and then something changed. The fire didn't lash out wildly anymore. It focused. It gathered. It shaped itself like armor around her body, burning gold and fierce. Her tears dried. She stood, stronger now, the human's hand steadying her. For the first time, she didn't whisper in shame. She spoke with power. "I am not impure," she said, her voice sharp as thunder. And he proved it. The soldiers froze, taken aback by the sudden strength in her. Thomas raised his weapon, eyes cold. "Your mistake was believing she needed saving from me. The truth is, she just needed someone not afraid to stand beside her." The glow flared again, shaking the chamber. The ruin shook with every heartbeat of the golden fire. The alien girl stood tall now, her scars burning like living armor, her voice no longer a whisper but a sharp echo in the chamber. The soldiers hesitated, their weapons trembling under the weight of her power. Thomas stood beside her, his hand still firm on his gun, his other resting at her shoulder. The glow didn't burn him. It bent around him, as though the fire itself had chosen not to harm him. The leader of the soldiers hissed through his mask. "You think you're strong, impure one? That human won't save you. You can't control what's inside you. It will destroy him as it destroyed all the others." The girl's eyes flickered with doubt. For a moment, her glow wavered. She had heard these words her whole life: impure, dangerous, cursed. Words that broke her, every time. But then she felt Thomas' grip tighten. His voice was calm, steady. "Ignore them. You're not their weapon. You're not their shame." Her breath caught. She turned to look at him, and for the first time she saw no fear in his eyes. No disgust. Only resolve. The soldiers charged. Their staffs crackled with violet energy, cutting through the air like lightning. The chamber filled with blinding light as they struck, walls splitting, rocks falling from the ceiling. Thomas fired, his bullets tearing through the noise, forcing one soldier back, but they were too many. The leader swung his staff at Thomas, sparks spraying as the weapon nearly crushed his chest. Thomas rolled to the side, dust choking his lungs. "Go!" he shouted too. "Her! Get out while you can." But she didn't run. She clenched her fists, the glow along her body burning brighter. "No, I won't leave you." She raised her arms, and the golden fire exploded outward. It blasted against the soldiers, hurling 2 of them into the walls. Their armor cracked, sparks spilling across the ground. The leader staggered but did not fall, his mask glowing red with rage. "You dare use our mark against us?" he roared. His staff pulsed with the same fire as her scars, dark and twisted. "We made you. We own you." Thomas fired again, but the leader deflected the shot with a sweep of his staff. The weapon's energy smashed into the floor, shaking the ruins violently. Dust poured from the ceiling, and a crack ripped through the ground between them. "Move!" Thomas shouted, grabbing her arm as the floor collapsed. They stumbled into a dark tunnel below, the world above crashing down behind them. The tunnel was narrow, filled with rubble and shadows. The only light came from the glow of her scars, painting the walls in gold. Their breaths echoed in the darkness, heavy and fast. "They won't stop," she whispered, fear returning to her voice. "They'll hunt us until I'm dead." "Until you're dead." Thomas steadied his breathing, scanning the dark passage with his gun ready. "Then let them hunt. We'll make them regret it." She stopped, staring at him. "Why? Why are you still here? You saw what I am. You saw the fire. You should hate me like they do." Thomas turned, his face lit by the glow of her scars. His eyes were sharp, his voice firm. "Because I don't see what they see. They see a curse. I see a fighter. Someone who survived when everyone else wanted her gone. That's not weakness. That's strength." Her throat tightened. Number. One had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever stayed. But before she could answer, a metallic crash echoed through the tunnels. The soldiers. Their boots rang like hammers against the stone, closing in fast. Her scars flared in panic, the light spilling across the walls. Thomas pulled her deeper into the tunnel. They turned corner after corner, the labyrinth pressing down on them. Every step was a race against the sound of their hunters. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a massive chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow. Broken pillars jutted from the ground, alien symbols glowing faintly on their surfaces. The place felt ancient, alive with forgotten energy. The girl's marks pulsed in rhythm with the symbols. She stumbled, clutching her chest. "This place. It's reacting to me." Thomas scanned the room, his gun steady. "Then maybe it's where you were meant to be." The footsteps thundered closer. The soldiers poured into the chamber, their weapons raised. The leader pointed his staff at her, his voice booming. "You can't hide in the ruins of your curse. We will drag you back in chains." Thomas stepped in front of her, his weapon aimed at the leader's mask. His voice was calm, sharp as steel. "Funny thing about chains," he said. "They break." The girl's glow exploded once more, brighter than ever. The chamber walls answered, symbols lighting up as though waking from a long sleep. The soldiers stopped in shock, their weapons trembling, and then the hunt truly began. The chamber shook with living light. The alien symbols carved into the stone pulsed in rhythm with the girl's glowing scars, as though the ruins themselves recognized her. The golden fire spread across the walls like veins of power, filling the air with heat and a low, humming sound that rattled Thomas' bones. The soldiers stopped for the first time, their confidence breaking. The leader's mask tilted, his voice sharp with disbelief. "No. This should not be possible. She cannot command the ruins." The girl staggered, her hands pressed against her chest. She wasn't commanding anything, she was struggling just to breathe. Her power burned inside her like a storm trying to break free. She shook her head, gasping. I can't control it. It's too much. If I release it, everything will die, even you. Thomas stepped closer, his voice firm. Then don't release it. Hold on, control it. She stared at him through glowing tears. You don't understand. The mark wasn't only a curse. It was a cage. They branded me to keep this power locked. If it breaks, I'll destroy everything around me. Her words hit him like ice. A cage, a weapon sealed by force. That explained why they called her impure, why they hunted her. She wasn't just dangerous to them, she was dangerous to everyone. And now she was begging him to let her go. Run, human, she whispered, her voice trembling. Save yourself. Don't choose me. I'm not worth it. The soldiers raised their staffs again, energy crackling. Their leader pointed at Thomas, his voice booming. Step aside, human. Leave her. You'll walk free, untouched. This is your only chance. The choice was clear. Thomas felt the weight of it pressing down on him, heavier than the ruins themselves. He could leave now. He could live. The soldiers promised him freedom. He had no reason to stay, but then he looked at her, kneeling, trembling, yet still standing in defiance of everything against her. She wasn't begging for her life. She was begging him not to throw his away. Her eyes shone with pain and shame. But behind them was something else. A spark, a plea for someone to finally see her as more than a curse. Thomas took a slow breath. His weapon felt steady in his hand. His voice came out low, calm, but unshakable. I've made my choice. He stepped in front of her, placing himself between her and the soldiers. If you want her, he said coldly, you'll have to go through me. The soldiers froze. Even the leader hesitated. The chamber fell silent, except for the steady hum of her scars and the deep thud of Thomas' heart. The girl's breath hitched. Her glow dimmed slightly, softening around her as if his words reached the fire itself. You'd die for me? Thomas didn't turn to look at her. His eyes stayed on the soldiers. No, I'll live for you. That's harder for them. The leader's mask flared red with rage. Then you are a fool. The soldiers attacked. Lightning-like energy ripped through the air as staffs swung down. Thomas fired, bullets shattering against armor, forcing them back step by step. The chamber shook as blasts of power struck the pillars, stone cracking and falling. The girl cried out as her scars pulsed violently, the power inside her responding to the chaos. She pressed her hands to the floor, fighting the storm inside her, but the symbols across the chamber flared brighter, answering her like a chorus. The ruins wanted her to release it. Thomas, she screamed. I can't hold it much longer. Then hold on for me, he shouted back, firing again. Don't let them win. Her chest burned with fire, her body shaking. She saw him fighting, standing alone against soldiers far stronger, yet refusing to fall. Something inside her shifted. The shame that weighed her down began to crack. Maybe she wasn't a curse. Maybe she wasn't impure. Maybe she was something greater. The leader leapt forward, his staff glowing with the same energy as her scars. He swung hard, the blow shattering the floor at Thomas' feet. Thomas stumbled back, nearly losing his weapon. The leader's voice thundered, She cannot be saved. She is death itself. Thomas raised his gun again, blood running down his arm from the blast. His eyes locked with the leader's mask, his voice cold and steady. Then why am I still alive? The chamber glowed brighter, the walls trembling. The girl screamed as her scars erupted in golden fire once more, but this time it didn't explode wildly. It shaped itself, flowing outward in controlled streams, wrapping around her arms like blades of light. She stood, her body shining with power, her eyes burning gold. No more whispers, she said, her voice strong. No more shame. You call me impure? Then let me show you what impurity can do. The soldiers faltered, fear slipping through their stance for the first time. Thomas stepped beside her, raising his weapon. His grin was sharp, dangerous. Guess the hunt's over. The fire and steel clashed, filling the ruins with the roar of battle. Asterisk. The chamber roared with light and sound. Golden fire spilled from the alien girl's scars, dancing like living flames along her arms, shaping into glowing blades. Beside her, Thomas fired his weapon, the echoes of each shot mixing with the hum of ancient power. The soldiers came at them in a wave of black armor and glowing staffs. Sparks rained from the walls as energy clashed with stone. The ruins trembled like they were waking from centuries of silence. The leader of the soldiers struck first, swinging his staff down with the force of a hammer. Thomas rolled to the side, dust exploding around him, the ground splitting where the staff landed. He came up fast, aimed, and fired into the leader's mask. The shot rang true, but the armor absorbed it. Glowing red from the impact dot, the girl leapt forward, her golden blades cutting through the air. She struck one soldier's staff, the clash sending shockwaves through the chamber. Sparks and light exploded as the two forces fought for dominance. Her teeth clenched, her body shaking, but she pushed harder. For the first time in her life, she wasn't running. She was fighting. The soldiers snarled and shoved back, but Thomas was there. He slammed his shoulder into the armored chest, forcing the soldier off balance. The girl's blade struck true, carving through the weapon. The staff shattered, its glow sputtering into darkness. The soldier fell, smoke rising from the broken armor. Thomas glanced at her. One down, her breath came heavy, but her lips curved in the faintest smile. The leader roared, his voice echoing. Do you see? The fire makes her reckless. She burned herself out, and when she falls, so will you, human. Thomas steadied his weapon, eyes cold. You talk too much. The fight raged on. Another soldier lunged, swinging his staff like a blade. Thomas ducked, the weapon searing the air above his head, but the heat still scorched his skin. The girl cried out and raised her hand, her scars blazed, and a whip of golden fire shot out, wrapping around the soldier's arm. With a scream, she yanked, the soldier crashing into a pillar. The stone cracked, collapsing on top of him. Ruins groaned under the violence, stones tumbling from the ceiling. Dust filled the air, choking and thick, but the glow of her scars cut through it like a beacon. Thomas coughed, wiping blood from his lip. Remind me never to stand in your way. She turned to him, her eyes glowing like suns. Then don't. The leader charged. His staff blazed with the same golden fire, but darker, twisted. He swung hard, his strike shaking the chamber, sparks flying as he clashed with her blades. Each hit rang like thunder, the two forces locked in brutal rhythm. She cried out, pushing against him, but he was stronger, heavier, more trained. Her knees buckled as the weight of his weapon pressed down. Thomas raised his gun, aiming at the leader's mask. He fired. The bullet sparked off the armor, making the leader stumble just enough. The girl roared, her fire blazing brighter, and pushed him back with a blast of golden energy. He skidded across the floor, his armor smoking. Her chest heaved, sweat mixing with glowing tears. She turned to Thomas, her voice shaking. I can't keep this up. It's too much. Thomas grabbed her shoulders, his eyes fierce. Listen to me. You're not a curse, you're not impure. This power, it's yours. Control it. Don't let it control you. Her breath hitched. His words cut deeper than the soldier's blows. For a moment, the storm inside her quieted. The fire bent, listening. The leader rose again, fury burning in his voice. No human can tame her. No human can stand against us. Thomas aimed again, his voice like steel. Then maybe it's time. You learned what a human can do. The final clash began. The girl surged forward, golden fire trailing her every step. The leader swung his staff, the dark glow roaring, but she spun, her blades crossing against his strike. Sparks lit the chamber like lightning. Thomas moved with her, firing at weak spots in the armor, forcing the leader to guard from two sides. At once, each time the leader blocked, she struck harder. Each time she faltered, Thomas was there to cover her. Together, they weren't breaking. Together, they were winning. The chamber's walls pulsed brighter with every blow, the ancient symbols answering their fight. The ruins weren't just stone anymore, they were alive, feeding her power, amplifying it. Her scars flared like the sun itself. She screamed, driving her blades into the leader's staff. The weapon cracked, then shattered in an explosion of fire and smoke. The leader staggered, his mask glowing red with fury. Impossible. Thomas stepped forward, gun aimed. Between the mask's glowing eyes, his voice was calm, steady. Not impossible. Just human. Bang! The shot rang through the chamber. The leader fell, his staff crumbling to ash. The golden fire around the girl dimmed, slowly curling back into her scars. Silence followed. The last of the soldiers lay broken. The ruins still glowed, humming, faintly like a heart that had just been awakened. Dust settled around them in the stillness. Thomas lowered his weapon, breathing hard. His arm bled, his body ached, but he was alive. The girl collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face, glowing faintly in the dark. She looked at him, voice trembling. You didn't leave me." He knelt beside her, steadying her shoulders. His eyes locked with hers. "I told you, I made my choice." Her lips trembled. For the first time, she whispered, not in shame, but in awe. "Why? Why me?" Thomas' voice was soft but certain. "Because you're worth it." The ruins rumbled again, deeper this time. The floor cracked, a low growl echoing from below. The battle was won, but something else had been awakened. Asterisk. The ruins shook as if a giant heart beat beneath the ground. Cracks split across the floor, light spilling through them like rivers of molten gold. The battle was over, but Thomas knew this was not peace. This was something else. The girl clutched at her chest, her scars burning brighter than ever, pulsing in rhythm with the glowing cracks around them. Her breathing was fast, uneven, like she was drowning in her own power. Thomas steadied her shoulders. "What's happening?" Her eyes widened, glowing with fear. "The seal, it's broken. The power they locked away, it's awake now. All of it." Her words chilled him more than the fight had. He looked around. The ancient pillars hummed, the symbols carved into them blazing like suns. The entire chamber was alive, answering to her. "Can you control it?" he asked, his voice urgent. She shook her head, trembling. "No one can. This is what they feared. This is why they branded me. Not because I was impure, but because I carried something older than all of us." Her voice cracked, and tears spilled down her glowing cheeks. "They said if the seal ever broke, the galaxy itself would bleed." Thomas tightened his grip on her arms, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Then fight it. Don't let them define you. You're not a curse. You're not their weapon. You're you. That's stronger than anything." Her chest heaved, her scars blazing so bright, it hurt to look at her. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust his words. But the storm inside her screamed louder than his voice. The ground split wider. Golden fire burst upward, spraying sparks like a fountain of stars. From the cracks came a deep sound, almost like a voice, low, ancient, rumbling with power. Her body jerked as if struck. She cried out, clutching her head. "It's calling me. It wants me to let go." Thomas wrapped his arms around her, holding her tight. "Then don't answer it. Stay with me. Breathe with me." She trembled against him, the light burning between them, but he didn't let go. His own skin blistered from the heat, yet he held tighter. His voice was firm, steady, cutting through her panic. You're not alone anymore. You don't have to carry this alone." Her eyes snapped open, locking with his. For the first time, the fire inside her hesitated. The glow softened, just slightly, curling around them instead of trying to tear them apart. Thomas breathed hard, his forehead against hers. "See, you're in control, not the mark, not them, you." Her lips parted, her voice barely a whisper. "But why you? Why can you stand it when no one else could?" He didn't answer right away. His heart pounded, his lungs burning. Then he spoke, quiet but certain. "Maybe because I never saw you as impure. Maybe that's what the fire needed. Someone who believed." Her eyes filled with tears again, not of shame, but of something new. Hope. The ruins groaned, the golden fire surging one last time. It erupted upward, a pillar of light tearing through the chamber, blasting into the sky above. The ground shook violently, then fell still. Silenced out. The glow along her scars dimmed, fading to faint lines across her skin. Her breathing slowed. The storm inside her was quiet. For the first time in her life, she felt free. She collapsed into his arms, exhausted, trembling. "You stayed," she whispered, her voice weak but soft. "You saw everything. And you stayed." Thomas held her close, his chest rising and falling against hers. "I told you, I made my choice." For a long moment, neither of them moved. The ruins hummed faintly, like a living thing falling back to sleep. Above them, the night sky showed through the broken ceiling, stars shining cold and distant. She lifted her head slowly, her glowing eyes searching his. "Do you know what happens now?" Thomas gave a tired smile, wiping blood from his lip. "I'm guessing nothing good." Her lips curved faintly, almost a laugh, though it caught in her throat. "The warlords won't stop. Now that the seal is broken, they'll come with armies. Not just for me, for you too." Thomas looked at the stars through the ruined ceiling, his eyes hard. "Then let them come." She stared at him, stunned by his calm. "You would fight an army for me?" He turned to her, his face serious, but his eyes softer than she had ever seen. "Not for you, with you." Her breath caught. For the first time in her life, she felt the word she had never dared to imagine: belonging. She lowered her head, whispering almost to herself, "Then maybe I'm not impure anymore." Thomas brushed a strand of her hair back, his voice steady. "You never were." The ruins gave one final tremor, as if sealing their pact. The fire was gone, but the truth remained. Something ancient had awakened inside her, something the galaxy would soon fear. But as she leaned into his arms, exhausted, yet alive, one thought burned brighter than the fire itself. She wasn't alone anymore.